and welcome to Perspectives. I'm Sam Jones, your host, and my first guest today is Dr. Kenneth Hicks, history and political science professor here at Rogers State University. Dr. Hicks, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me back.
Again, are you surprised?
No, I was not surprised by the outcome. I think that Harris was at a disadvantage. She had to run a really short, abbreviated campaign. The consistent problem that she had was that a lot of voters didn't feel like they knew her well enough. And the same phenomenon that happened in 2016 happened here. You had critical constituencies that simply didn't turn out at the rates in urban areas like Philadelphia, like Detroit, like Milwaukee, that she needed in order to win those critical battleground states. And the result was she came up short.
Any idea why they didn't turn out?
Well, I think, again, there's some secular factors at play. 10 governments in Europe were turned out, including from conservative to left leaning. Trudeau up in Canada looks like he is almost certainly going to be defeated. There's just been a strong anti-incumbent sentiment in Democratic electorates in other advanced countries, and I think we're dealing with the same sort of phenomenon.
I have to tell you, and to be real honest with you, I was surprised at the outcome because I thought that the momentum had started to build for Harris.
Yeah.
I really thought she had something going there.
I think she ran a good campaign. I think she ran as good a campaign as she could have, again, given how short the time frame was. And I think she was hamstrung to some extent by the fact that Joe Biden thought he could get the nomination and thought he could run a successful campaign in 2024. His disastrous performance on June 27th really, created a sense of panic, among Democratic decision makers, and they kind of forced him out. And really, the reality was, if it wasn't going to be Biden, it kind of had to be Harris at that late date. And the fact that she didn't go through a primary process, the perception was she didn't earn it. And there were, again, these critical factors at play. The fact that in many urban areas, Democrats lost critical votes from reliable minority groups in many instances because they felt like they were being displaced by undocumented immigrants.
Here we are several days after the election, and I think everybody's eyebrows are going up, both sides of the aisle, at the appointments. Some of the names that are being thrown out, I want this person for that, this person for this. Are you surprised?
No, I am not surprised because I don't think there are any restraints on Donald Trump right now. He remains an inexperienced guy when it comes to politics, and he wants what he wants. He wants people who will swear absolute loyalty to him. The people that he's appointed, that he nominated over the last 2 days, Tulsi Gabbard to be Director of National Intelligence, Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General, Pete Hegseth to be the Secretary of Defense. These are people, the median age is 43. Frankly, I think that's incredibly young. The median age for most of those positions is on the other side of 60. They typically, somebody that's been, in the Defense Department has typically either been a CEO of a major corporation or had military experience at the general level, or both. Pete Hegseth had carried a rifle. He deserves to be honored for his service in combat. But carrying a rifle and serving in combat as a lower level officer does not prepare you to manage an organization, the largest bureaucracy in the world, with over 2 million civilian personnel, not to mention the people serving in uniform. Tulsi Gabbard has virtually no intelligence experience, and now she's going to be sitting over the top of the entire intelligence community. And Matt Gaetz is, frankly, he was a backbencher in Congress. He's never practiced law, as far as I know. He earned his Juris Doctorate in 2008, passed the bar in 2009, and then he was in the state legislature in Florida by 2010. He has no practical experience with a courtroom, much less with all the dimensions of the law that you expect an attorney general to be conversant in.
Let's go back to the man that was a weekend anchor for a small television station who, as you said, is a veteran and deserves our respect for that portion of his life,
Absolutely.
stepping into the largest organization under the umbrella of the American government. That's a bit dangerous, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who has basically made his bones, if you will, as a bomb thrower. He is, he is he is a byproduct of this anti-woke movement, which reflects a rejection of basic dimensions of civil rights. What does it mean to be woke? I make no claim myself to be woke. Simply because I'm a white dude, But as a practical matter, what does it mean to basically respect the law as it relates to civil rights? And when you say you are anti-woke, you are effectively saying you are pro-discrimination. And Pete Hegseth has basically said as much. He said he wants to fire every DEI general, whatever he means by that. I'm assuming it means generals who follow the law. And likewise, he has said that women shouldn't serve in combat. I think there are around 200,000 women who are going to feel like that's discriminatory.
I would just start to say, how do the women feel? And quite frankly, they wouldn't be where they are if they didn't support that movement.
Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth flew helicopters in combat zones. She was shot down. She lost both of her legs in combat, and she performed her duties. The Israeli Defense Force, which is widely regarded as one of the more effective military, out units, again, they routinely employ female soldiers. To me, again, he is just playing up, an innate bigotry with regard to women, which is, again, I think increasingly prevalent in certain quarters of the United States these days. And it's reflective of the fact, again, Kamala Harris underperformed with certain groups, which leads you to suspect that there are certain people who might otherwise vote for Democrats who won't vote for a woman for president. It's interesting that Tammy Baldwin won in Wisconsin, where Harris lost at the top of the ticket. Elise Stefanik won in Michigan, despite the fact that Harris lost Michigan. What's her name? Jackie Rosen in Nevada won a race that Harris ultimately lost in Nevada. What does that tell you?
I worry that there may not be a republic down the road. What are your thoughts on that?
I have great faith and affection in the Constitution. I believe in it. It's hard to imagine the kinds of assaults on the Constitution that we're going to be dealing with, but I pray that the Constitution holds. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the Constitution is just words on paper. If American citizens do not demand that people follow the law, they have elected someone who has demonstrated that he will not follow the law. Mm-hmm. So people have to be paying attention, and they have to raise the costs of corruption and basically high-handedness, because I feel, and it's a giveaway, these appointments. Matt Gaetz is loathed within the Republican Party. This is basically a challenge to the Republican-controlled Senate. You will give me my people or else.
I have been reading that Mullen has said repeatedly he's not been contacted, he's not been consulted about being appointed. I get in today and I find out, yes, he is being considered.
This is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen?
Yeah. Whether or not he's been talked to, I don't know. But now he's being considered for a post in the administration. Any idea where he might end up?
It would be hard for me to say, because I haven't heard much regarding Senator Mullen either. He could be in Interior. I don't know if they've made that appointment yet. Could be Energy. It's hard for me to say.
Maybe they want him in to plug White House leaks.
Well, the problem there is that Donald Trump consistently is the biggest leaker. He has always been. He had the leakiest White House, of any of the contemporary, presidential administrations, and he was often the person doing the leaking. So,
The Attorney General nomination really surprised me. My first thought was, here comes a kid in diapers, and he's going to take over the AG office?
yeah.
How can that be?
Again, Donald Trump does not care about people who raise their hand and swear an oath to the Constitution. He has a superseding requirement, and that is personal loyalty. By all accounts, even within the Trump camp, Gates's name was not at the top of the list of people that he intended to consider for Attorney General. And then Gates found a way on the plane heading up to D.C. from Mar-a-Lago, and all of a sudden, Gates is the guy. And then Gates resigns from the House of Representatives because he is 2 days out from an ethics report being published that basically would show the evidence that Matt Gaetz had engaged in effectively statutory rape and trafficking in children.
Will they release that?
That's the question. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, who was he was the majority leader of the Judiciary Committee. He'll be the ranking member on the Judiciary Committee. Has called on the House Ethics Department or the House Ethics Committee to preserve and publish that report. But that's anyone's guess as to whether that will happen.
Do you anticipate a slew of resignations from the CIA spooks?
I don't know. The intelligence community is a very close-knit group, but it's also very balkanized. There are 15, basically communities within the intelligence community, 15 different agencies. And they're all very distinctive. they all have their own little unique cultures. 3/4 of the intelligence community exists within the Defense Department. 80 cents on the dollar that's spent on intelligence is actually going into the Defense Department's budget. So it's hard to say. You're really talking about the CIA and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Some of them, some people who just feel on a principled basis that they can't serve under someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who has made very odd statements that seem pro-Russian and seem pro-Syrian, and basically reject the idea that these folks are adversaries of the United States. Some people will say, I can't serve under this woman, and some people will say, I have to stay and manage the damage.
They're liable to be outed.
Yeah, they might be, and that's another thing that people in the intelligence community are very kind of, and for that matter, within the Department of Justice. Let's face it, that Trump is hiring Matt Gaetz to crack skulls. He wants to clean out the Department of Justice in retribution for the various investigations that were led. And again, we're going to find out, before inauguration, because Jack Smith intends to, basically resign prior to inauguration, and he is legally obliged to publish a report.
Oh, really?
Not to publish a report, but to submit a report to the Attorney General Merrick Garland. Garland has it within his discretion to publish it, and I would be stunned if he does not.
Wow, and that could be explosive.
It could be.
All right. I don't want to hit you with anything unfair, but I'm a bit surprised. Melania has said that she has no intent of living in the White House. She's going to stay in New York. Is that unusual for a First Lady to stay away from the White House?
As far as I can say, it's unprecedented. And again, it reflects the fact that Donald Trump and Melania Trump have an unconventional relationship. They are clearly allied. She clearly supported him. She's shown up at various points, but she has not been as present on the campaign trail as she was in 2000. And frankly, she wasn't as present in 2016 during the campaign process. And she didn't go into the White House, I believe, until 2010. I think she spent at least 2 years up in New York at that point. So, take that for what it's worth. I'm not convinced that she's particularly interested in DC life, in life within the Capitol. I think she prefers being in New York.
As I sit here with you, I'm conscious of the fact that the country is now more divided than ever between supporters of the incoming president and those who don't want him in. Is it reached the point where there's is there civil war brewing here?
I'm skeptical that we're going to have the kind of civil war that we would have had in 1860. The reasons we are polarized are in no part and parcel. Our political party system is broken. We really don't have a two-party system. We have one-party dominance in most of the states. And our parties are weak. Our parties do not do a good job of recruiting candidates, which is a major kind of role of political parties. They've basically turned that over to a primary process, and frequently the primary process produces really spectacularly bad candidates. And then ultimately, our media has gotten so polarized that, in fact, we have armed camps that live in separate kind of media ecologies, with liberals living in kind of MSNBC world and conservatives living in Fox News world. So we don't share the same information, and we don't have the same kinds of political beliefs. Will we have a civil war because of that? I don't think there are the kinds of things. I think what's going to happen is Trump's going to govern. He will govern impulsively and corruptly, and it will antagonize a lot of people, get them mobilized, and we'll just have another round of this. Again, he is termed out. He can't run again. The 22nd Amendment is very clear in that regard. And can somebody else recreate the Trump coalition? It's the same thing that happened in 2016, right? Hillary Clinton was unable to recrudesce the Barack Obama coalition. That was unique to Barack Obama. He won Illinois, not just Illinois. He won Iowa twice. He won Ohio twice. He won Florida at least once. He won North Carolina once.
By strong figures, too.
Yeah, and again, because of his, the qualities that were unique to that person.
Okay, let me interrupt because we're fast running out of time. In your opinion, will the Republic survive?
I sure hope so, because I think this has been a tremendous experiment in democracy. And democracy is messy, and people have a right. They have a vote, and they have a right to make bad decisions. It's kind of like life. You don't always want to stand by every boyfriend or girlfriend you end up with for a brief period of time. And we have to live with one another. The whole point of politics is to identify accommodations between people that fundamentally disagree as to how we ought to be doing things. And so we have to find that political sweet spot again, and it can be done.
Well, I'm going to hold out for the existence of it. Are we out of time with Dr. Hicks? We are. I'm so sorry to see you go. Thank you. And again, I'd like to audit your class.
Thank you.
Anytime you're free, let us know. We'll have you on.
Anytime.
Dr. Hicks. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Carol Wright with the German American Society of Tulsa. Joining me now for Carol Wright with the German American Society of Tulsa. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So good to have you here. I understand your organization is really a combination of two.
Well, we're not a combination of two. The German American Society developed out of the first Oktoberfest. The first Oktoberfest was held by some sponsors in the city, and it showed so much interest in the public that a group of about 14 native Germans decided we need to form an organization to further our German culture and make a place for us to have common interests shared. And in 1979, which was the year after the first Oktoberfest, the society was formed, and it grew quickly. Many other Germans in Tulsa and surrounding joined, decided it was such a good idea, and it became a very popular organization. And then we continued to support Oktoberfest every year since, as a sponsor and as a food vendor. And many of our members are volunteers at Oktoberfest, as well as being leaders in the German American Society.
As I mentioned to you before we started taping, a very dear friend of mine, Joseph Hart,
Yes.
was a part of the original group,
Yes.
was he not?
Yes.
I miss him so much. He used to, we don't have to go into the history of the chicken dance, but I was working for Channel 2 at the time, and every time going into Oktoberfest, he'd come by my desk, he'd stop and go into the chicken dance without fail. I mean, and a marvelous voice.
He did. He was
Wonderful
a
voice.
marvelous man. He was our Mr. Oktoberfest for many years until he retired. But
If you've never eaten real German potato salad, you would be in for a treat for that alone.
right, right. Well, we pride ourselves at the German American Society in our food that we serve at Oktoberfest and at our festivals, because it's all authentic German recipes. It's sausages made by Ziggy, who's an Austrian. It is all authentic German prepared and served. So we pride ourselves in that fact that our food is, and our selling the food at the Oktoberfest has been what has helped sustain the society to a point that we were able to purchase our building at 15th and Terrace Drive in 1991. And we repaired it, restored it, brought it up to standards, but kept the character of the original 1929 building. So we have...
The dress that you're wearing,
It's called a dirndl. It's just a German word for the style of dress, which is a tight bodice dress with puffed sleeves and a full skirt. And it's a common wear in the southern part of Germany, mostly.
what about lederhosen?
Lederhosen are what the men wear, again, mostly in the southern part of Germany. And they are just leder, meaning leather, hosen, meaning pants. So they're just leather pants in different lengths, depending on, but they're used in common everyday wear in the southern part of Germany.
And it doesn't matter if you have knobby knees, so they'll forgive anything, won't they?
It's just part of the look.
Well, the music and the food and all that goes into and comes out of Oktoberfest has been a big plus for everybody in these parts.
Absolutely. It's been a phenomenal success, and we are proud that we're a part of it, and we were the part of it at the beginning, and that we can say that the proceeds benefit the citizens of Tulsa in the river parks, because all the proceeds are the beneficiaries of the profits of Oktoberfest go to the River Parks Association.
Oh, that's a wonderful, wonderful target. Have you been with them from the beginning?
No, I have not. I was of German descent. My father was born in Germany, but I didn't, raising a family, I didn't have time for volunteer situations and the interest in doing it until about 97, I guess it was, 97.
Well, I'll tell you, Carol, you've been a delightful guest, and I want to thank you for coming in and talk to us about the very roots of Oktoberfest and all that goes into it, and we'll look forward again to it next year.
Well, you also look forward to our next festival coming up is Christmas Market, Christkindlmarkt.
When?
It comes December 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's always the first weekend in December.
Where?
At the German American Society, and it is very traditional, 26 vendors plus the German American Society booth of bakery goods, food, entertainment.
And then go to your website and get more information.
You may go to the website. Please go to the website and see some of the items we'll have for sale, and our food, again, is the prime issue of Christmas, and our Glühwein.
Well, Frau Wright, you've got me hooked.
Well, please come and look me up, and we will see that you have a good meal.
All right,
Okay.
I'm in.
Thank you very much, Sam.
And we're all out of time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.